Hello everyone, it's Fluhfie, and I'm back with another video. This map is on Rhythmical Bustle. Anyway, I stream sniped Operation Mechstorm again, and decided to play Sonya instead of Eagle, like last time. I'm going to have my units face the left. I almost forgot to turn off the hidden HP. You'll see why I turn it on. Where is it? Always visible. Okay. So I went Sonya because I'm on a Sonya only spree, and Operation Mechstorm went with Jay, which I completely agree is that it is probably the best tier 4 CO for this map. There is so many pipe seams, and I just think artillery is great, so Jake is probably really good on this map, in my opinion. So let's start. I gotta make him face the right side. So I do something a little funny. I do a little loop-de-loop because I like doing these little loops. I'm still reaching up neutral base. So he went with the boring walk straight down to the neutral base. So I go capture my neutral base, and instead of going for the turn 1 back capture, I went for the more forward 2-chain. Mostly because it is more centralized, and having more centralized caps early on does mean you can get more map pressure in the center quickly. But it's also a 2-chain, so I would typically go with chains more so than turn 1 captures. Plus this is a back capture, which means if I capture this then send my next infantry forward, the back infantry might not have anything left to capture by then, and it's just cannibalizing on your caps. Same story up here. I go for the 2 capture chain, which he also goes for. He goes for the more forward properties, and he also goes for the chain capture as well. Now this is where I do something a little different. Instead of going for the forward property, I decide to start heading back because I want my airport up and running. I do like my air units. And I do another fancy loop. Now I go for the forward cap. Everything looks... Oh, there's the first tank. I would prefer an artillery opening, mostly because I want to break the pipe seam quickly. And I went for the comm tower capture, because there's no way he will want to interrupt me. And also, because this infantry in the back can capture this. I built an artillery so I can bust open the pipe. He does something similar, choosing to go for the comm tower and using the back cap to capture this city. And I move my artillery to cover this comm tower, but really just to break the pipe seam. But I might as well cover the comm tower too. You never know if anyone's crazy enough to go in for an attack against Sonya. You never know. Well, you should. In this case, that didn't happen, but you never know. Always leave yourself options. He moves his artillery on this side, which does allow him to go towards the center by heading down instead if he prefers. I'm planning to go through the pipe anyway, so I'm fine with leaving it here. This tank is now in a very centralized position, controlling much of the map, and I decided to do what's called ignoring it and just staying out of range. So none of these infantry can still go for these center caps without being in range of his tank. Unfortunately, I can't do much around here, but I wanted a tank on my 2 base side, so I can only afford an artillery on my 1 base side. That does mean I can't move for these 2 properties, but I think it's fine because it is my 1 base side. I wouldn't want to be fighting him over here, even if I could. And he starts sending his tank down, blocking my capture. Unfortunate. But the pipe seam with an artillery and a tank shot is now left at 39, which means a single artillery strike can pop it open. So I pop it open, have my infantry walk through, and go for an aggressive strike. And one of the reasons why I went for the strike is you know how some people call Jess a ticking time bomb? I moved my tank here to cover this city. People call Jess a ticking time bomb because when Jess gets her super, her tanks can hurt. She will do a massive tank push and do a lot of damage. Jake is in a very similar situation, although it's more so the artillery range that's boosting it than the tanks. But if I don't win early, Jake will just outscale me with better units and movement. So I went for this early aggressive strike. It's out of range of this tank, and if this tank strikes me, I have a tank and an artillery moving in to support it next turn, so I think it's a safe move. And I built 2 more tanks to follow up because I really want to start pushing here. Jake breaks the pipe seam with the artillery and begins moving through. And he creates a nice little wall at the bottom. Not so much a wall up here. So I decide to go in. I go in, strike with my tank first. He didn't build another tank, so it's fine for me to extend within 1 tank's range of his reinforcements, because it's only temporary. I wall off this cap, and I also decide I didn't want this tank going down and reinforcing the bottom front, so I'm moving my infantry here to block off this path anyway. But then again, he could just go the other way. I think this was definitely a slight mistake on my part. I do want to stop him from getting this city, but my artillery can't exactly cover it this turn. I think I should have just retreated and let this tank do whatever it wants, because this infantry is covered by my reinforcing tank. But I got my airport. I built a tank up here because there's a recon, and recons can be very annoying without tanks, and even with a tank, you might not want to hit the recon because there are 2 tanks that might aim down your tank. But it's better than no tanks up here. He finishes this capture and pushes his artillery very forward. Let's strikes my infantry because there's no consequence to doing so. It's a free hit. And so, I get this capture because he retreated further down here. And I continue my aggressive advance. I strike this city so I can start capturing it. Only one tank can strike me, but I am a Sonya, so my counterattack hits pretty hard. Unfortunately, this infantry is in range to interrupt it. If I get the city, it would be huge, but just too bad. I do a front shift to the top because there's 2 tanks and a mech at the bottom. It might be overextending if I continue attacking here, but if I front shift, I will get units from my bottom front and my top front to fight units only on the top front. At least that's my hope. I have to strike quickly and fast. I move my artillery down to begin joining up with my bottom front. And I do a little fancy loop going all the way around the forest to get on my city, because why not? I am giving up this city, but I did get both of these, so I'm happy. And this is where I probably should have built the tank from the other base in my previous turn, so it can better reinforce the top side. Too late. I built my first copter because I want my copters. He's artillery spamming, and I need copters that can bypass artillery. He secures his top property. That's 1 artillery out of the fight, so maybe I can do something while his artillery is occupied. He goes for this tank and interrupts the capture, which is very sad for me, and starts, well, shifting most things down. He builds his own copter. Definitely don't want to continue fighting at the bottom, but he didn't build an anti-air, so I'm going to do my best to push at the top. I begin capturing this city, and I decide to sack the tank. This way I can get the 2-hit KO over here, so I pretty much lose 1 tank, and in exchange I get 3 HP of tank damage and he gets 2 HP of tank. That's effectively the trade we have. I then move my artillery in, just in case his tank can break through one of my tank from this strike. He doesn't know my HP because I'm Sonya, but a Jake with Calm Tower and the fact that my tank is on a show tile next to a plains, you never know. So I place my artillery in such a way that he can't just sit on this tile with a tank and avoid both my artillery. I abandon the city, but it's fine. It's a few units that are staying out of the fight. I built an anti-air right away because I don't like copter-on-copter violence. I definitely prefer anti-airs to deal with copters. That being said, Jake would should definitely get anti-airs because Sonya copters, especially during the super, are incredibly powerful. He interrupts this capture. How could he? I just wanted more money. And he goes in, and it looks like a nice wall using the pipe runner and the mountain, but I noticed that this infantry can walk on a mountain and get a 2-hit KO on this infantry, which means I have a breakthrough opportunity if I wanted to. And it is at this moment during his turn that I'm thinking of ways to attack, such as how to utilize my copter or my... well, I can't utilize this tank, but I'll definitely try to utilize my copter. I did notice that this tank can strike this tile. Note that it's still his turn as he's moving. So after clearing this infantry and this tank, all that's left is to clear this, then rush in and try to pop the artillery. And so now it's my turn. I go in, don't get the kill unfortunately, so I have to kill with this infantry. I could have fired with the artillery, but I want to move my artillery in to support my attack. I use my infantry, get the 2-hit KO. Battlecopter goes in, tank goes and finishes off that tank. Oops, then I strike the artillery, use my injured tank to attack, strike the other artillery, and this is when I realize... Actually, no, it's fine, it's fine. I go start capturing this city because why not? And I didn't want to move my artillery down, but I also want to hold my cities. I think I would prefer my looking at this again, I think I would prefer my artillery on the shoal tile and having this infantry move up to wall. I guess I didn't want his tanks to just swing back down. But I think it would be fine just to have the artillery cover this. There's a lot of infantry, and if he spends time with his vehicles attacking infantry, I think I should have been fine with it. I guess what I was worried about is using the power and breaking through to my artillery, then him sitting on the city to strike my artillery. But then again, I should be fine with that. If I trade my artillery for his artillery, that's better for me, since Sonya does better with non-indirects for the super. But here we are. He goes in, strikes my tanks instead. Interrupts the city. Now I kinda wish I had my artillery covering it. And now I look for ways I can break in. Now the problem with breaking in is that he's near his super, which means these tanks get +2 movement during his super. If I want to attack this artillery, this tank will reach these 2 tiles. And after some thinking, I decided I prefer not attacking. I still try to take out the artillery, but I don't get it. If my artillery was here, I might have stayed because I might have done enough damage to these vehicles that I'm not too worried about the counterattack. But nah, I decided to retreat. Let my medium tank get into the fight. I start recapturing this city. And just focus on preserving what cities I do have for now until I can prepare another attack with more copters. He cleans up my infantry that's extended and has a nice tank wall over here. Begins capturing my bottom city, which now lacks the vehicle support. So here I'm thinking, I'm getting this city, I probably would not get this one. Maybe I should start shifting back down again. And so I do. I decided to go in for a lot of hits. Maybe I should not have sent my anti-air in. But It's really just to buy time for my front shift to the bottom. At this point, I'm thinking it might have been better for me to get a Neo tank or a bomber. So maybe I can start one-shotting things and wall breaking, because he's still building more artillery. He's Jake. And there's the super. The Jake super. He join caps, breaks through my wall, and goes for my anti-air. Copter strikes, but I made sure the only way his copter can strike my copter is from a road tile. He breaks through to my artillery. My medium tank does get a hit though, so I think it's not the worst. And he is extending quite a bit, but it does do a lot of damage, as you can see before the super. After the super, I lost a third of my unit value, and his artillery only moved. Imagine if his artillery fired instead. So, Jake is somewhat like a ticking time bomb towards his super. Fortunately, I managed to get through one of them so far, and I decided to do a counter break. I attack what I can, focusing on his tanks because my copters are... well, if I can reach the anti-air, I would be very happy. Unfortunately, this tank didn't die. The Jake Super gave it enough defense to survive, so I had to settle with just taking hits outside of the artillery range. And I strike the artillery. Can't take out the anti-air, which is unfortunate. Oh, notice that he ran out of time. So he triple base skipped this turn. I did not notice this during the game. At least I don't remember myself noticing it. I built a bomber. And I reinforced my wall around my artillery. So he has to retreat. He has no reinforcements. He does go for this copter kill, which I guess is fine. I would have preferred to keep it because you're trading one unit for one unit, and Jake just scales better with unit count. When deciding whether or not to stall or get a kill, you can look at the COs. If your CO is has a stronger power, then it's better to wait for more units. But then again, this is a live game, and he has just ran out of time. Which means if you want to save time, you can get rid of your units by trading, and then you have less units to move. So there is that trade-off. He forms another artillery wall, and I really want to bust it. I really do. And I would have if it weren't for this recon and tank blocking. Instead, I just choose to get rid of the anti-air and fly my copters closer. Unfortunately, this copter is protecting these two tiles, so my copters can't go in without getting hit first, and he destroyed my only anti-air. A lesson as to why you always get more. I always say to build more anti-air. I didn't follow my own advice. Well, he only had one copter at the time, but still. His tanks continue going in, because his copter can reach my artillery. And he's just getting a lot of picks here. He's doing what I did to him earlier, which is to pressure, well, not really to pressure my base, but He waited till I had a lot of units grouped in one area, then just attacked something else. How dare you use my own tricks against me? And the thing is, I can't even attack him back, because he can just shift it back up again. Well, I can send my bomber in, I suppose. I go for the comm tower using the copter to block this tile. Anti-air cannot reach without the super. And I knock out the artillery so he can't just power and interrupt the comm tower. And if I'm attacking at the top side, it is still breakable because fighter can kill this copter and then tanks can start getting 2 hits. I have to start doing something at the bottom as well. At least I would if I had more than 2 vehicles. I don't want him to overwhelm my 2 base side. I built a rocket, mostly to protect these forward caps without having to extend past the river and ocean tiles. These tiles are pretty nice to, well, if for whatever reason you want to defend the area. So here he goes, takes out my copter because he can, and sacks his tank to get this kill. I'm not sure if the sack was necessary, but then again I am Sonya, he doesn't know my HP. I think it's a strike from this tile. But now it's my turn. I get 2 comm towers. If I were to retreat, he can probably capture it back very quickly, and I also do not want him to continue scaling with more units. So I made the decision to press on my attack. I sacked my 2 HP infantry, hoping to get enough damage that bad luck doesn't ruin this attack. Bombed the medium tank, didn't get bad luck and got the kill. And then I anti-aired the fighter. Now maybe I could have waited for my super and then anti-air the fighter. I could go for medium tank strike artillery, get the super first, so the fighter wouldn't do so much damage. But it is live, you don't always see these things. I strike the artillery on the planes top. Oh, maybe that's why I went for the fighter strike first. I wanted to make sure my medium tank has the firepower to kill the artillery. Mostly the one on the planes, because the planes get the Jake super bonus of extra 40% firepower. I'm not sure why I joined it. I think I would have preferred to, like, looking at this now, I think it might be better to just strike more artillery. Since it is a Sonya super, I should have been fine with trying to get rid of artillery and just letting my counter break protect my tanks. I start attacking infantry to delay his ability to capture these properties back. I also start making pushes down here because his units are moving up instead and have to respond to my attack. Well, I would advise him to respond to that attack anyway. Not quite sure why my anti-air was moved here, unless my infantry is going to block it. I tried to get this kill, I didn't get it. But I have 2 comm towers and an active power, how did I not get it? And I built more copters. This is probably where I should show some restraint. There's already 2 anti-airs, but I think I guess I was confident my bomber can handle them. But no. He sacked his infantry before sending his tank in to get the breakthrough, then anti-aired the copter from that upper tile. Fighters my bomber, and artillery strikes my tank and my medium tank. Kills my anti-air, and the thing about Sonya Super is that unit triangles still work. Anti-air still beats my copters, and copters still beat my tank. Eesh, look at that. I have plus 30 firepower right now. And it still won the trade against me. Trapped my medium tank. Now I'm thinking I should definitely try to do something at the bottom. And I tried to get this kill, didn't quite get it, and I decided to just bomb this anti-air. Didn't get the kill either. But I have 2 comp towers. Why? No. I had hope. I sent both infantry in to strike the tank. I can always hope that it will get the kill. And now things aren't looking too good. It's looking okay. I do start getting stuff at the bottom, but I have until I lose my units at the top for that. And he does have 1 healthy infantry capturing stuff at the top, which I do not like. And so I decide to continue pressing my advantage at the bottom. I found a nice wall I could create over here. So there's only 1 tile that can attack this tank. Can't really break through my infantry with the available vehicles here, so I felt pretty confident in my wall. My rocket also covers these 2 tiles. So I was feeling pretty confident here. But then I saw this tank attack, and then I saw this tank attack, and I realized, wait, I didn't cover this tile. I forgot he can attack the other way. That would be like the 2nd time I saw it. I did not realize, well, I didn't think that the tank would just go the other way. And at that point, I think I may have lost this. However, it's not over until it's over, so I keep fighting. I get rid of the fighter, take on this tank, move my artillery back, and try to support my bottom side to hold the cities I have. He goes in attacking, no fear, because if my rocket stays to attack, then it's just going to die. So maybe the rocket wasn't exactly the best play. It feels like what some people might call the paper tiger. I go and kills his copter because I don't want to deal with his copters, if I'm being honest. I move my rocket back, but my artillery can fire 1 more time. And I'm just trying to halt his advance. If you notice, if you remember, this is a live queue, or if I didn't mention it before, this is live queue, which means there is a 30-day limit. If I can just hold off until day 30, I could potentially manage a win, or at least maybe try to go for a draw. And so I'm just trying to hold my properties. This rocket will hold these 2 properties. Unfortunately, a win is no longer possible because his mech is capturing the city right here, so we will be even in income. The artillery spam. What could I do against that other than going with air? I'm kind of forced to do air, and he's building an adequate number of anti-air to deal with my air. My weakness, anti-air. Anti-air is just too strong. But I see a mech that can strike the artillery from the mountains. Still deciding whether or not I should go in, so I do stuff out the bottom first. I go in. It's a mech shot. I injured both his infantry to delay the capture of this city. And I have to be careful. His super is coming up, so I leave my bomber outside of range of a Jake super anti-air. And then he goes for this city instead. I lose one more city. It's a loss. But honestly, I don't see a way to break in. I would be attacking into his super, which is not good. So I try to do something else at the bottom to maybe offset the city's loss. I use my counter break. And maybe I should have just held this area, use my anti-air tank and medium tank to hold this area while my artillery locks this city. But during his super, both of these artillery has the range to fire on my city, and I don't want that. So I think I had to abandon this city as well. I accidentally clicked to skip turn. I do another nice loop with my anti-air, because why not? And my copter. I think the copter was an accident. Uses his block rock. And the vehicle movements is just really strong. See how much control he has with the +2 movement and the +1 range of the artillery. That's also very strong, especially on a map like this where it's quite easy to wall, especially with these pipe seams also acting as free blockers. I try to use them only to forget that he can walk around. Well, I'm going in. He sent in stuff to attack the bottom front. I decide to strike the anti-air. Unfortunately, his power defense makes him pretty strong. I try to save this city. We're approaching the day limit. I can't be losing another city, and I need to gain one city for a draw. So I go in for an attack on the top. If I lose my rocket, so be it. That's just free charge at this point. My rocket isn't going to do much at this rate. He artillery strikes my medium tank, but it survives. And starts shifting things up again. Strikes my bomber. Bomber doesn't die. Builds more anti-air because of course you need more anti-air. And built a rocket of his own. His rockets are better than my rockets. That's all it is. I try killing off his mech here. And I press on my attack. Attacking in such a way that my copters are, for the most part, safe. Well, one of them isn't safe, but I am covering it with a medium tank. So at this point I'm thinking, he's attacking up, which means I should try to go for this city with my infantry. I still have time. I am player 2, so that gives me a little more leeway for the final day captures. I just have to distract him long enough up here that I can potentially get something done at the bottom. So I go in, this is a last-ditch effort. Who cares if my rocket dies? It just needs to do whatever it can do right now. Here's the beatdown using the normal power instead. Getting that +1 range from the normal power to strike the tank. No. Oh, going for my rocket? I'm fine with that. As long as this is not my infantry. My last hope. But all of these vehicles are still up here, which is good for me. Because I have exactly 2 days. If I can capture this and remain uninterrupted, it will be a draw. Medium tank block, tank starts capturing, tank blocks, infantry starts capturing, tank blocks this tile, infantry blocks this tile. Now, admittedly, I was thinking of using my tank to strike this tank, and then my battlecopter can strike the Neo tank, but it was live, and I was playing quickly, so now the Neo tank is at full health, which is unfortunate. But either way, even if my copter managed to strike the Neo tank, 3 injured tanks can easily clear this infantry for the Neo tank to strike the city here. I built a mega tank because why not? It's the last day. He clears the tile. Even if he didn't, even if my copter was here attacking the Neo tank, this 9 HP tank can definitely clear my infantry here and interrupt the capture. And that's the game. We reached the day 30 limit, and by the rules of the day limit, whoever has more properties wins. I use enhanced vision and just play my final turn. And the game's over. And that was it. Operation Mechstorm definitely knew what he was doing with the artillery. It was very hard for me to break through. At one point he was concerned that I would continue attacking right here. He was concerned I would continue going in. He didn't know the HP of these tanks, so he thought I might just continue going in. But considering the Jake Super, and I don't want copter on copter violence. He has the anti-air, I don't. My anti-air is all the way down here. I have to only retreat. Aside from that, we also talked about how he broke through to my anti-air down here. It was just because I really just forgot he can walk and attack from this tile. But that was this game. A win for him. Anyway, that's it for now, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.